Aspetta, lo so.
Oh, hey, man.
Because I said to Simon, probably I will walk back because I can't stand it. If I think of home.
What were you asking about just now?
What would happen if we were in Canada last year, this time when we were all in Canada, and COVID came last year, and we're all stuck in Canada? Of course, you're with me, but they don't have their wives with them. So I said, when they come back, the wives will have new husbands.
Jeremiah, he say he can walk from Canada to here by foot.
You can walk.
Yeah.
You got an ocean to
swimming.
get across
You
somehow.
know how to
You
swim.
can swim too.
And the sharks will kill you along the way. Thank you, Sarah. Say hi, Sarah. Say hi to Canada this morning.
She's shy this morning.
Not
I say
really.
it's not easy to walk from Canada to here.
Walk. You're going to be swimming, and the sharks will kill you on your first day because you can't swim.
Yeah, that would have been something.
And then we can come here with
Big stomachs.
Yeah, a lot of food.
You think
there.
so?
Yeah.
A lot of food there.
Yeah.
Because we eat a lot. Is
Yes.
that why? More than here.
Yeah, a
Oh
lot
my
of
goodness.
food there.
Yes.
Really?
Here it's Greece, you know that.
Yeah.
In town it's Greece.
Yeah. Good
Chips my
food.
eye, French fries with eggs on top and fish. But in Canada, the world's your oyster. There is so much to choose from for food. Yeah, you'd come back fat pigs.
Yes.
Yeah. The chicks probably are this big.
So we say thank you God that we didn't get stuck in Canada last year or this year.
Beautiful day. Raining a little bit actually. This is the end of the rains.
It's really not that
It's
beautiful. It's cold.
Still cold? I don't know how you can do that.
Because I was running around doing things.
Oh, so
But I
warmed up.
think it's always can be like this. Little bit rain.
Rain and cloudy this
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down to 16, 15 degrees.
Yeah, last night was a bit cold.
Do people here talk about the weather when it gets cold a lot?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah,
they-
especially people who come from different regions,
Yeah.
maybe Dar es Salaam, when they come
Oh, from the
Arusha,
warmer
from
regions.
the warmer, yeah.
Yeah.
Arusha is
Here
mountainous.
yeah, you'll find them with maybe tooth. But for us, it's fine.
And it doesn't even get below 10 degrees
Oh,
ever.
Yeah,
Really?
10 is bad.
I think we're more the same than different, which kind of leads me to the a little topic of conversation I thought we'd do. I haven't told you guys about this yet, so we'll just see.
Hold on,
Yeah,
I'll sit
there's-
back. It's not. Is it about mechanics or what is it? now,
No,
driving.
it's about relations, different race relations. I just thought we'd talk about that a little bit. We want to address the issues that are happening in the Western world and in America and Canada and other places. We know there's a lot of problems. Are people talking about that here? Just start with that. Are people talking about what's going on in America, the problems with black and white,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
the race relations? We say racism, but the race relations, eh?
Yeah, after everybody saw that video, and,
George Floyd.
yes, because it shows everybody have a different thought of what has happened, but it means that he was doing it intentionally, like he wanted to do that. So because people used to hear racism, but after they see that video, they say, oh, so it was like this. So that's why now it's a big issue.
What are people saying, like when you talk about it in Arusha?
Some people think not all police, white police, it's very bad, but I think some many police it's real bad for the African people.
Oh.
Yeah.
For Shirley and I, it's hard for us to understand because we sometimes don't even realize that we are white or whatever because we live with you guys all the time.
Yeah.
And living with people changes everything.
Yeah.
When you
exactly.
can talk, I think the problem is the separation many times. You know, if you don't have a relationship with someone of a different race or a different color,
Yeah.
your mind starts to go crazy
Yeah.
and have weird thoughts or whatever. But if you have a friend or somebody you work with
Get to know
closely,
somebody.
it changes everything
Yeah.
for racism and all kinds of other things in life. So that's a big issue. But I wanted to just ask you about how we are here white in Tanzania.
Yeah.
So we are the ones who are in the minority here.
Yeah.
And we've been here for a couple hundred years. And we did a lot of bad things we didn't treat African people very well, and yet we feel very loved and welcomed here. Is there, you guys have any anger or animosity about some of the things that happened in the past with slavery and things like that?
Yeah, I think when I was in primary school, the education we got, we have a little bit of history of that, but they don't say every single thing about they did this and this, or there's any torturing people like this. They hide a little bit so they won't create that hate to the next generation.
Okay.
So you just have to fear and hate to people who colonized us. But our generation, because I graduated in 1999, from there, then the history a little bit, I think they were doing some editing of taking that off so that we can live in peace. And in Tanzania now, few years later, it became like, especially Arusha, like a tourism town or city. So if you create that, it won't work.
Yes.
Because you guys have to come here and invest here, and we get jobs and things like that. So if you create that hate and you keep putting that in history, it won't work. Maybe they thought about that in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why tourism here is very good now.
Yeah, we see a very good relationship between white and Africans, Western people and Africans. We know it's not perfect. Things come up or whatever. There's also the Indians who are here as well, who've been here for, some of them for over 100 years, over even 200 years. So there's always issues. So I don't know, there's something about when we look at somebody, if they look different, that can be a point of trouble. If someone has a different appearance or if they have a different color or whatever, just human nature sometimes likes to work on that. But for Shirley and I, we've never had that issue because of friendships with people. We don't see color or things like that.
But long before we even came here, even in Winnipeg, Daryl, a lot of our friends were Africans or different people from different cultures. I look back at our kids, even their baby albums. I think of Georgia Comas, Daryl, holding Cyprian when he was ill and praying for hours and hours in his bedroom, holding him as a newborn, and friends coming over. We had people over all the time. Never even thought that we were different. We just loved Africans, and that's who was always welcomed in our home. So it's never been any different.
That's always been in your heart, right?
Yeah.
With Africans. So how can you explain that, or what made that happen? You're different than many people.
I don't know. One of the best compliments I ever got was in Botswana prison when I was doing Bible studies there. And I was pushing to get in there, and I said to the guard one day, I said, "Oh, I wish I was black." And he said to me, "No, you don't. You want to be white." I said, "No, I wish I was black." And he looked at me and said, "Mama, your heart is black. We are together." And I said, "That's the best thing I've ever been told, that my heart's black." I can't. Many times I want to change my face color. But now, after being in Africa so long, when I go with you guys to town, or I go in a church where I'm the only white person, or I go to a funeral and I'm the only white, I actually don't even see that they're all black people. At the very beginning, in Zambia days, then I was very aware I'm the only white person with all black. Not scared, but just very aware that I was the minority. But when I come here and onward, or Botswana, I don't realize it anymore. I don't even see you guys as a different color. We're a family. I've never seen color but when you get to know someone and invest in someone's life, that's why I think world travel is really good for people. I'm not talking and pushing anything about coming to Tanzania right now. I think it's good for people to travel the whole world, because I think of our kids and their time in Botswana, and their whole worldview has been shaped differently, learning about different cultures, geography, living with kids from all different parts of the world in Botswana. It opened up their worldview in their mind to think differently. When we came back to Winnipeg or back to Canada, they didn't see people as different. They went, "Oh, I want to get to know that person or that person." Or when certain people came to MBCI, they would be drawn to them and not be uncomfortable because they're different. Because our kids saw it when they were little.
They had experiences too where they could actually play with people from Botswana, where they could go into the home and have a meal with somebody. I mean, there's a difference between doing tourism where you just go on a tour or getting into someone's home. sharing a meal, playing with them.
Oh yeah, our neighbor kids were over every day playing maraba. How do you say it? Maraba.
Maraba raba.
Maraba, a little game with stones. And every day after school, the kids would be over playing those games, or they'd play with neighborhood kids. And when we came to Winnipeg, we carried it on. We invited, in the early years, even when they were born, if you look at their albums, many of our African friends are holding them as babies. Until the very first time seeing, I remember Raina meeting Henry, the first time she was one, tall, big Nigerian man with tall, and she screamed and screamed and screamed. I'd never seen a black person, but the other kids grew up with it already, Leah and Sabrina. So I looked right at Henry. I said, Henry, you know she's screaming because you look like a giant. Your hair is big, you're big, and you're black, and she's scared. And we broke the ice with that and laughed. And after that, he'd grab Raina, come Raina, and Raina would sit with him and grow like our other kids did from being babies, growing up, being around people different. So if you travel the world, my thinking is, if you can enter into people's homes, and I know many of our guests have told us when they travel different places, they like to go into a home of another culture, because that's where you, and especially with their kids, because that's when their worldview opens
You
up.
don't even have to travel the world. You can just go to the other part of the city.
This
Yeah,
is true.
yeah.
Or just
And
go
you
out
can
of
see-
town to another area,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
people segregate themselves in
right.
cities.
You're right.
And so just getting into a different culture.
Yeah.
I think after people put these ranks of
Mhm.
maybe poor and rich, or maybe black and white,
Mm-hmm.
then it creates all this. You
Yeah.
grow up with that. It's like, okay, we are not supposed to mix.
We like to label and put
Yeah.
people in a box and
You know,
say,
yeah.
these people are like
Yes.
that because of the way they look or
Yeah.
because of their
Yeah.
country.
Yeah, because but like here in Dashir, you mix all of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a driver, so you say, oh, I'm a high rank.
Yeah.
I won't mix with maybe somebody.
Even
who's
the
at
type
back
of
house.
job
Types
that
of
you
jobs,
have,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Things like that divides people, and
You know what?
'Cause you
That's
do-
one of the reasons, Daryl, we did farm work. For everybody who comes here has to work on
Yeah.
the farm for
I'm
months,
just saying.
to
what-
make everyone on an equal level.
with,
Sorry.
no, with no guests right now, what are you doing, Jeremy and Simon?
Yeah.
What
we
kind of
mix
work?
with them.
What are you
Yeah.
doing today?
Yeah.
Today we will see how the weather is going, but
Yeah.
I was thinking of maybe mixing with those guys there.
Yeah, maybe the cars need work again.
Yes.
Those cars have had no lack of attention these days. Extra time.
Yeah, but maybe I can say not not white people have also problem. Also African have a problem.
African racism.
Yes, because it depends the heart.
What
You
kind
know,
of? How do you
some
explain
people
that?
Don't, you don't. Some people don't like albinism. Albinism.
Albinism.
Oh.
Yes.
Albinism.
Albinism.
People
Yes.
who are albinos.
Albino.
Yes. Yeah.
So if they have a different color
Yes.
in the African culture,
Yes.
even in African culture, there's a difference between the shade of
Yeah.
skin, right?
Yes.
People want a lighter shade of skin, but not totally white, but lighter is better, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you're darker,
It's
sometimes there's a label also,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah. So depend the heart. You
You're
can say
right.
that.
It is a hard
Are you
part.
guys comfortable with the skin that you have?
Oh yeah.
Do you have any issues with?
Some people not
Yeah.
comfortable
Really?
with it. They
Yes.
want to look like you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, they can take drugs.
And
They
then
look a
some
bit
people
lighter.
tell me,
Get a
"You are-"
lighter
Or
skin.
the
like
women
the-
take cream to
especially
make their
ladies,
face,
yes.
and
Yeah.
they've done that, and then they get scars
Yeah,
all over their
but
face,
at the end
and
of
they
the
got
day-
gorgeous skin, and they look
they
beautiful.
realize that, oh, probably I lost a good skin.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is this
They
is
have.
worse because they can't walk in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you take all that layer off
Yeah.
that protect the sun.
Why do we want to do that though? Like why change the skin? Just to be accepted or to feel better? Or what makes us do that?
Because now there is this, I don't know if it is a fear or it is what came into our, what can I say it, girls or ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Some men's like lighter girls
Mm-hmm.
than black girls.
But what do you mean some men's? When they're married, it doesn't matter. They already
Africans.
have you.
Some
know,
Africans
some
they like a
Africans.
lighter colored
Lighter
skin
skin.
girl.
Girls.
Oh,
Girl.
guys, if
Yeah.
they're single, to find a
Exactly.
and if
Probably
they want a
because
guy.
it's, there's not as many of them, so it's
No,
more
it's very
it's
few.
like unique.
Yeah, maybe people from Singida or
Singida.
yeah,
Oh,
they're a bit
okay.
lighter.
Oh, Elias tribe.
yes,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Bulu tribe.
Okay,
They're
So
a bit lighter.
that's the way. It's crazy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's not,
Yeah.
doesn't make
That
any
kind of
sense.
thinking is just even what's happening in America and other places. It's complete. When you think about it, it's completely crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our minds are warped.
Yeah.
We've got funny ways of doing it, but like I said before, when we have friendships and you work together, you realize the skin is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
The background is nothing. Our hearts, our brains, our bodies, we're the same people.
That's why if now you walk to any street, you'll see all the kids following you because they have never seen it.
Yeah.
Mixing
Yeah,
with
we
us.
stand out.
Yeah.
We go to
We
a,
went with Mama one day in my street,
yes.
and one of the kids saw her, and she was crying, saying, "Oh!" She doesn't even want to get close to her because you've never seen.
That doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Or if I go to Maasai land to a home for the first time, and if there is a 2-year-old or under there, they scream like they saw a demon. And I said, and everyone's laughing, and I just tell the Maasai one from the Simon, this makes me feel just terrible. I can't even pick up that kid because. But now, as I keep going back, they're used to my skin. They're used to me, and I go. This sounds really stupid. The bag of candy, they all come running now and sit on my lap. But the first few times, actually, I had to hold back tears because I'm thinking, I want to hold you, and they just scream like I'm taking a knife and just hurting, and they're in pain. The scream is like they're in pain. It's so loud and so much that the grandmothers will grab the kid and they'll hide underneath. I'll try and look under the shuka and go see the child. Now that doesn't happen anymore because the villages are used to me being there. But I'll tell you, the beginning days were not easy.
We feel very fortunate to be here and
Oh.
to be accepted and
What a
loved. I
gift.
can't imagine being from a different race and not being accepted and loved. Like many people are living in America and Canada, and it's very tough
And
for
bullies
people.
in school
Yeah.
and
And
kids.
I think even if you went and did a job in Canada or Europe or something like that, you would also experience something because of the way you look,
Yeah.
and it's just not right.
Sure.
And in
Yeah.
school, kids who get bullied, we hear stories, or even this week of close
We-
friends, the bullying, the things that happen, and they stay silent. And I'd like to say, I really would hope and pray that kids who experience this, whether they're white being bullied, whether they're black or Chinese or whatever, that they would speak out to their parents or someone they trust, so that they don't grow up from like grade 3 all the way to grade 12, having this worldview of people all being so evil and never having an adult step in to say, hey, this has got to stop. You know?
Yeah,
But
well,
they
we hope
often
wherever
don't. They
you're
suffer
at
in
that you
silence.
are doing your part to make this world a better place and to make everyone feel accepted regardless of their race, background, religion, or ethnicity. So that's a little bit from us here at Dashir today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll be back with you again next week.
Oh.
Today we're having some lovely
Oatmeal bread.
oatmeal bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to die for, and wish you were here. But we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Have a good day.
Okay.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
day, everyone. Enjoy
Welcome
your
to
beautiful
Tanzania.
enjoy your beautiful summer.
Except those in Australia, South Africa,
I know it's
Botswana.
cold there right
Yeah.
now.
New
Very
Zealand.
cold in South Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, snow. Yeah.